Yes. Welcome, everybody. How is everybody on a Tuesday? It's Monday for some. It's doubly Monday for some. But glad you're here. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the Madhouse. Oh my gosh. What happened last night? We will we'll cover some of that. Get your thoughts. Yeah, pretty interesting. Good to have you with us today. It is Tuesday, April the 6th, and wow, short week for some, but glad you're here. We'll take your calls, your comments. No pronouns. None. Bad pronouns. My name is Nick Stewart. This is Sunrise Santa Rosa. Telephone number calls 850-771-0049. And we'll get to it today. We got tons to cover. Your forecast. We'll grab that real quick, y'all. Today, partly cloudy skies, high near 79. Was yesterday not gorgeous? Holy mackerel. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low near 57. Tomorrow for your Wednesday, intervals with cloud and sunshine and a high near 79. Presently, it is 52 in Milton. It's 61 Gulf Breeze. It is 53 in Navarre and 57 in Pensacola. All right. Yep. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Glad all the risers are here. Welcome. Yep. And glad everybody's here. All right, let's get started. Because we have to talk about, we've got to talk about the meeting last night. So we do want to get your comments, your thoughts. Be nice. You got to be nice. All right. So another contentious city council meeting took place in Milton Monday night, just 2 weeks after two members abruptly resigned. Former Councilman George Jordan addressed the Milton City Council at Monday's meeting. For more than 20 minutes, he rambled and ranted. I got a question. Why did they give him, make him a guest speaker? Now, that was Mayor Lindsay's call. He should have. We knew what this was. Did anybody have any question what this was going to be? We knew it was going to be him just laying waste. We knew that everybody was going to be in the line of fire. It was crazy, right? It's got to be and so he had to bash people. So Jeff Snow, here's the meeting recap. Jeff Snow's the devil. James Calkins is his demon, and George was the Messiah for the city. There you go. That's it. That's everything you need to know about last night's meeting. Incoherent rambling. Oh, I did this and I did that, but Jeff Snow is evil, and Mr. Snow. George says he has concerns about the leadership in Milton. I have grave concerns about the transparency, the honesty, the accountability, and leadership in Milton, said Jordan. Jordan, who unexpectedly tendered his resignation on the 23rd, said he lost faith in the city leadership within the last 2 years, particularly in Jorgensen, due to issues centered around the new wastewater treatment plant. Former councilman claimed that Jorgensen had knowledge of the construction costs coming in at millions of dollars above the original bids. He also took issue with comments that Snow made to the News Journal. Two of the best things that happened in Milton were Jordan and Holly's resignation, according to Snow. He was butthurt. I'm sure he probably was. Who cares? He quit. He's a quitter. He walked out. And then he went down to the county commissioners and whined down there, and he goes, and they were all supportive, well, except for Calkins. Oh my gosh. But no, none of it was a surprise to anybody. Mr. Snow said, I never put the city first and done nothing good for the city. Jordan said, to be the first part, he's right. I put God and my family first, but I did sacrifice for this city. I've done good things for this city. Number one, you left. I don't care. Listen, you may be right, but if you're going to go away, go away. Don't keep coming back like a James Bond villain. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that. You need to go away. And I'm sorry, you don't impress anybody with this crazy ranting and rambling for 20 minutes. Yeah, you wrote it out. Thank you for that, by the way. But still, it didn't do anybody any good. What did that accomplish? Anybody? Can anybody tell me what that accomplished? Nothing. It accomplished nothing. And I'm sure the mayor went, yeah, there, got it. Got him. But got what? Got what? Jordan spent several minutes outlining contributions to the city that what he said made as a council member, including serving on the Tourist Development Council, Wastewater Plant Board, and former Main Street Milton Board. So, what did that accomplish? And I'm sure he felt vindicated after it was done. But it's just he's pompous. Twice now he's embarrassed himself in public. He shouldn't try to justify his actions, just trying to make himself look good. But he didn't. He didn't make himself good. How? But it just made him look like a jackwagon. You can say, you know what? I don't need this, and I'm just going to resign. Thank you, Milton. And right off into the sunset. Shane, come home. Whatever. But he was full of tooting his own horn. I know. He slammed Jeff. It made the city more divisive. I don't know. Does it make the city? Listen, I was look. The mayor. I'm going to read what the mayor said. Mayor Heather Lindsay says the turnover has shaken the community. What I've heard mostly is sadness and just disappointment because these council members are respected by the people who've spoken to me. Jordan and Holly. He respected her. She respected him. There you go. I've not heard anybody express sadness over these two people leaving. Mostly I've heard relief. Whew. They're gone. Now, I am fully under the understanding that we may operate in different circles, right? The mayor doesn't operate in some circles where people are glad that they're gone. We're glad they're gone. I knew what you meant by toot, and I read it right. Being a jackwagon in his circle is a positive. I'm sure. And for a lot of people, it is. Circle the jackwagons. But here's the but look, you've got to understand. Not everybody's going to agree with you. Get over it. And if you can't suck it up, then go away. Go away quietly. Whatever. I don't care. You chose it. Politicians, again, I want to stress to you, if you can't stand somebody disagreeing with you, don't get in politics. Because you're disillusioned. I don't care how good you think your ideas are. You're not going to have everybody agree with you. So if that is what you think is going to happen, step down now. Thank you, Corey. Circle the jackwagons. All right. I think Milton needs to send all the members and the mayor packing and start totally over again. Wow. Clean house. Big talk from Houston. But I know I understand your frustration. but the way we are heading in a good direction. And there are people that live to cause issues. That's their goal. They don't feel that they have had a successful day until they've stirred up crap. And unfortunately, Holly was a big one. She was a big crap stirrer. And I'm glad she's gone. I miss the entertainment value of it, but you get my point. George was really no different. And so if you're not for pushing the city forward, because we've got some things we've got to do. We're growing. And as you're growing as a city, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. You're going to have to go along with some things that maybe that you don't like, but you're like, okay, I lost that one. All right, so what? We'll see what happens. Let's hope it turns out for the good. But yeah, what a over 20 minutes of just madness as we delved into the psyche of George Jordan. I did wonderful things. I'm a wonderful human being. Look at all I've done for this city, and Jeff Snow's a troll. Well, James Calkins too. He had to throw James Calkins under the bus. Because James Calkins says, good for the city of Milton that you're gone. So, it was just weird. It was weird. He should never have been an invited speaker, ever. Bad mistake. That was a terrible mistake to put him on as a guest speaker. You want to spend 3 minutes as a citizen, knock yourself out. But for what purpose did he? Okay, can I make a suggestion for Milton? For these meetings, when you have invited guests, have criteria. To be an invited guest, it has to meet some of these criteria. Because this crap was ridiculous. You set up criteria. If you go, so we want someone to be an invited guest, we have criteria they have to meet. And they're scheduled. They're not none of this stuff right at the last minute. No. And everybody has a say in who's an invited guest. Not just the mayor. Oh, I'm going to put this person on as invited guest because Thursday or Friday they wanted to be invited guest. Nope. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. It's scheduled way ahead of time. And some things I understand cannot be. I understand that. But that's why you have criteria. They have to meet these certain standards. I wish I'd counted. You can go back and watch the video, and you can count how many times he said "I," and count how many times he blamed Jeff Snow. But you see, and if you have criteria for invited guests or invited speakers, guest speakers, you don't have crap like that last night. Yes. And it didn't. It didn't. It was a flaming mess. And it didn't do anything. Well, an agenda set events or all else, yes. But it was not on Friday night before the weekend. No. And that's where you run into an issue. Absolutely ridiculous. And those that were for him standing up there and spewing his mess should be ashamed of themselves. Not productive. Nobody asked him to leave. Nobody asked him to step down. And he chose that. Well, but there you go. But it should be, that should be for everybody. You have criteria, so in case whatever happens, these are the criteria. So this person cannot speak because we want to, and listen, you ought to get a layout of what they're going to say. The city council members ought to have a layout of what they're going to say before they say it. I want a copy of your notes. We need a copy of your notes beforehand. No surprises to the council from a guest speaker. Now, I don't pretend that last night was a surprise to anybody. We knew that's what it was going to be. P&J had a great article about George. They, like most, get that he was speaking at the meeting for self-validation. Yeah. You ask him to what, Justin? Ask Sharon to step down from. Oh, okay. You're the bully. Justin is the bully. But yeah, so you have a criteria, and part of that is, look, what are we speaking on? We want notes, at least 2 days in advance of what's going to be said, or you don't speak. I'm sorry, because you didn't meet the deadline. You don't speak this time. Maybe next meeting. No subject matter was provided when George was added to the agenda. No, I know. So then he doesn't speak. That's the rule. So that's what I'm saying is you have this. This is the rule. Everybody agrees to it. And so when they're called upon, no, I'm sorry, that's not here. And he didn't do what, so he doesn't speak today. It's next time. I don't do meetings where there's no agenda. Why? Because they waste time. I want to know who's speaking, what they're speaking about, and how long they're speaking. Oh, I don't go to the meeting. No surprises. Maybe Jeff will. But look, this is absolutely ridiculous. Jeff doesn't need to call to defend himself. We know what last night was. And it was just, and it's sad. It's sad that George had to go out that way when he could have just said, you know what? I think that I'm just done, and just walk away. No, you can't. You have to do a scorched earth. Rules are whatever the mayor wants. Well, that's not. There's rules against that. Yes, there are rules against that. 850-771-0049. I'm just, I really get irritated with that kind of stuff. It bothers me. But anyway, it was 20 minutes of yada, 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 me, them, and outside influences. The voices in your head don't count as outside influences. Those are inside influences. I didn't catch all of that. It was, some of it was hard to hear, and I didn't catch all of it, but whatever. So, but it's done. And now maybe Sharon will speak. I don't think that'll happen, but it doesn't make a difference. But I just, the stupidity of the whole thing. that just the lack of wisdom in letting George speak last night. That was lack of wisdom. If he wanted to talk, just say, hey, you know what? Why don't you write a letter and send it? We'll give it to the council members, whatever. But yeah, it's more or less, we're not going to make a spectacle. You made a spectacle down at the county commissioners meeting. You made a spectacle last night. No more spectacles. Right? We're done with that. Crazy. 850-771-0049. Santa Rosa County's unique pretrial release program is saving taxpayers millions of dollars and keeping defendants on the right track to future success. That's according to the clerk of court, Donald Spencer. It's a very successful program, Spencer told the News Journal. It saves the county a lot of money. In 2020, Santa Rosa pretrial release program generated an estimated net savings of more than $2.1 million due to the high cost to house, feed, and provide for an inmate in the county jail. The program has saved the county about $9.8 million during the past 5 years, providing criminal defendants a means to stay out of jail while awaiting their day in court, typically for trial. The expenditure for housing each inmate in the Santa Rosa County jail is about $56 per day when factoring the cost of food, toiletries, medicine, all other amenities, staff salaries, all per capita electricity bill, and other odds and ends. Now, I don't. This program, I think, kind of rewards people for doing poorly. You can go home. You can go home. No. I think that if someone this program, if it's going to work, it should cost the offender. You want to go home, a release program, then you're paying. You're paying for that privilege. Yeah, I want to go. I want to live at home, watch TV, sleep with my spouse, barbecue in the backyard, whatever I want to do. Yeah, I'm for that. Fine, it's going to cost you. Just like bail. And it should cost them $56 a day or more for the privilege of being home. And it offsets the cost of those that are in jail. I don't know. The gag order. All right. There's something I don't quite understand. I don't think there was a gag order. I think it was a HIPAA thing, but I'm not clear what that was. I was looking into that this morning, and I don't know. So I'll try to find it out. How many released in our waiting trial never showed? That's a good question, Jeff, because they don't mention that. They don't mention that, but it's a good program. It's saving a lot of money. So we'll see. 27-year-old Escambia County man faces child abuse charge after a 2-week-old infant suffered multiple injuries, including a fractured skull. Let me put this winner up here. Mercy. Brock Baumert, 27, was charged with 1 count of aggravated child abuse under domestic circumstances. He's being held in jail without bond. According to the Escambia County Sheriff's report, the incident happened on Saturday around 11:30. The mother of the kids went out, left a 5 and a 10-year-old and a baby with this man who lives in the house. It just says he lives there. Doesn't say his connection. Now, the 10-year-old was calling the mother, texting the mother, saying he's being mean. So she came home, noticed a scratch and a cut lip on the infant and bruising around the face. And she took all 3 kids to the hospital. And the deputies say the 2-week-old suffered fractured skull, fractured clavicle, and multiple bruises. The 2 other children were unharmed. Bomber was located several hours later and arrested. Now, here's this. Another interesting issue along the same lines. This is a Pensacola man accused of raping a young girl while she was sleeping. Louis Armstrong, 36 of Pensacola, is charged with capital sexual battery, domestic violence on a victim under age 12. He's being held in Escambia County Jail without bond. The incident happened Sunday around 1 a.m. at an Escambia County home. According to the Escambia County Sheriff's Office report, the victim said she was sleeping on the couch when she woke up to Armstrong sticking his hands down her pajama pants. According to the report, Armstrong was supposed to be watching over the girl at the home. Now, here's what is it? Why do these women let strange men watch their children? I don't get it. Will you watch my kids? I'm desperate to go out. No. The guy needs to be beaten like he did that baby. I don't know. Anybody that abuses a child needs to be locked away with no chance of being released. Yeah, I think that if you're sexually abusing a child, you're going to be, there's no really recovery for that. What are you talking about, Katie? You would have seconded Councilmember Shannon Rice's motion. Which one? Just no. But look, don't have strange men. The men give them money to watch kids. Ugh. It should be the other way around. You pay people to watch your kids. That's just, it's really icky and odd. Don't do it. Don't do it. Pensacola Mardi Gras has released the exclusive Carnival season activities for May 2021. I'm sorry, Pensacola, you missed Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is back in February. You missed it. You missed it. The 2021 Pensacola Carnival season will include a series of events with a Mardi Gras-style theme. The kickoff celebration will be on May 21st. The grand parade is set for Saturday, May 29th, all while Pensacola Beach celebrates its traditional Memorial Day weekend celebration. The kickoff celebration takes place at the Roger Scott Athletic Complex at 5 p.m. and will include traditional blessing of the crews along with a concert-style dance party featuring Chiwis from New Orleans. Yeah, there you go. Mardi Gras. Rice motion to remove the mayor from a chairing meeting. I think it's, yeah. And be more efficient. So they don't last as long. Is that what you're saying? To move things, to speed things up. Yeah. And where did it go? University of Florida police are investigating a string of indecent exposures that occurred on Easter Sunday. Police say they received an anonymous call that an unknown man in his early 20s had touched a victim with his exposed genitals behind Kappa Delta. The suspect was wearing a white shirt. No pants, maybe. Police received another call about a similar incident minutes later. Several hours later, another victim called and reported a similar incident in the area of Sorority Row from earlier in the day. All three of the incidents happened roughly within 30 minutes of one another, according to police. You want to hide Easter eggs? University police are continuing to search for a suspect. Will the Mardi Gras theme include a calendar? No, because that's inconvenient for them. You can do Mardi Gras whenever, even though it happens in February. The mayor has the right to chair one meeting. Council. Well, then take care of it. Do it. Matt Gaetz published an op-ed piece with the Washington Examiner on Monday morning, continuing to deny all allegations against him while he's saying he is absolutely not resigning. In the piece, the Washington Examiner, he says, since I'm taking my turn under the gun, let me address the allegations against me directly. First, I've never, ever paid for sex. And second, I, as an adult man, have not slept with a 17-year-old. Gaetz said last week he and his family are victims of an extortion attempt by a former DOJ official. He says, my personal life is and always has been conducted on my own time and my own dime. Consensual adult relationships are not illegal. Although I'm sure some partisan crooks in Merrick Garland's Justice Department want to pervert the truth and the law to go after me, I will not be intimidated or extorted. The battle for America's future demands gladiators, and I'm going to keep getting back up and fighting every single day. He said, I am not a monk. I'm not a monk. And he's not. Look, you gotta understand. And while people in Washington, don't think people in Washington hold your moral values, because they don't. But that doesn't mean he's wrong. In this, Communist City Council moves to oust spineless mayor from meetings. Video at 11. Maybe. All right. So there you go. So Matt is he's saying he's going to stay in the fight, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. If you're innocent, fight. And in Washington, we know if you're guilty, you fight. That's just how Washington goes. This is weird. Portland Public Schools Board of Education delayed adopting a high school's new mascot of an evergreen tree. So they're changing their mascot. It was Trojans. So I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with abortion rights. I don't know. So they got rid of the Trojans. And they wanted to do an evergreen tree. So you go from Trojans or warriors or gladiators, that kind of thing, to evergreen trees. However, that had to be stopped. They couldn't do, well, we got to rethink this thing. We didn't get our minds wrapped around this thing because evergreens could point to lynching. It has ties to lynching. According to Portland Tribune, Ida B. Wells, Barnett High School in Southwest Portland, was set to vote on the new mascot last Tuesday after the committee deemed their old mascot, the Trojans, controversial. The committee had students, staff, community members propose the evergreens because nothing says fight like an evergreen. When it came time to vote, Director Michelle DePass shared community concerns that the evergreen tree could symbolize lynching and that this suggestion came with a blind spot. I'm wondering if there's any concern with the imagery there in using a tree as our mascot. I think everyone comes with blind spots. I think that might have been a really big blind spot. Evergreens are racist. Yep. So what do you do? I think you could probably find a problem with anything. Just dumb. Yep. No, they are not. And they can't really be. I mean, I don't think anybody, you never hear of what tree a person is lynched on. It was a big pine tree. Oh, cedars. No wonder Hillary's Secret Service name was Evergreen. Oh, because she's racist. Good for you. Good for you. All right. I don't know. I just find stuff like that completely stupid. Are we that ridiculous? And the answer is yes. Here's proof. This MLB thing. Opponents of MLB's decision Monday to move the 2021 All-Star Game to Denver because Georgia's new voting law suggests the move could end up hurting Atlanta's black residents rather than helping them. They note that move will deal an economic blow to Atlanta, which is 51% black. and provide a boost to Colorado's capital, which is only 9% black. Democrats and voting rights advocates argued that Georgia's new voting law signed by Republican Governor Brian Kemp on March 25th would make it harder for people, particularly those of color, to vote. The All-Star Game has a notable positive economic impact on host cities. Nearly 30% of businesses in Atlanta are black-owned. And so by moving, because they're trying to stand up for black people, they're hurting the black people. 51% black as opposed to 72% white in Colorado and Denver. Makes sense? Yeah, it makes sense. ABC's The View derailed into awkward silence on Monday when the co-host Meghan McCain said if President Biden supports Major League Baseball's decision to pull the All-Star Game out of Atlanta to protest Georgia's new voting laws, he should also keep the Olympic athletes out of China. Oh, for frog legs. Co-host Whoopi Goldberg uttered as McCain made her point. Then they couldn't hear each other, and it got really awkward. Here's that exchange. It's just weird. Watch this.
Democrats they do have know that live with each other. I'm sorry.
Legs. Yes, they do.
I'm sorry.
They do. That's all right. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Are you done? Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Okay, we're done.
Okay.
Part of the problem with this social distancing thing and have people in different places, but they had no clue what was going on. They want to argue, but they can't argue because they don't know what they're saying. But that was just weird. That was a weird exchange. Colorado, the new home of the MLB's 2021 All-Star Game, saw more than 21,000 ballots disqualified in 2016 over voter ID issues. The tally was confirmed when the state's results from the 2016 presidential race was certified. The election against Trump and Hillary was the first in which Colorado used mail-in ballot system. Registered voters received mail-in ballots weeks before the election day and were required to either mail back their completed ballot or drop it off at their local county clerk's office or other specified drop-off location. But a total of 21,408 of the mailed or in or dropped off ballots were disqualified because of voter identification issues. Of the total rejected ballots, 16,209 were nixed because a voter signature couldn't be verified, 2,606 because the ballot wasn't signed on at all, and 2,593 because the voter registration could not be verified. So they're moving it from Georgia to Colorado because it's 72% white, and they do have voter ID issues where 21,000 ballots were rejected. That makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Well thought out. Well thought out. Love it. You got to love that kind of thing. Where they are totally, completely blind to their hypocrisy. Yeah, they're also being able to blame Trump for everything. The Georgia bill does expand voting rights, but that doesn't fit their narrative, and so they have to change it. They have to change what it says. Oh my gosh. A handful of Republican legislators in Georgia are requesting the removal of Coca-Cola products from their offices after the Atlanta-based beverage giant criticized the state's new election. GOP legislators wrote a letter dated Saturday to Kevin Perry, president and CEO of the Georgia Beverage Association, criticizing the company for caving to the pressure of an out-of-control cancel culture. We respectfully request all Coca-Cola products be removed from our offices immediately, says the letter. It was signed by 8 GOP state house members. Should Coke choose to read the bill, share its true intentions, and accept their role in the disinformation of truth? The dissemination of mistruth, we would welcome a conversation to rebuild a working relationship. They also accuse the company of making the conscious decision to perpetuate a national dialogue which seeks to intentionally mislead the citizens of Georgia and deepen a divide in our great state. We have the responsibility to all of Georgia not to engage in those misguided intentions nor continue to support corporations who choose to do so. The company required valid ID, Coke required valid ID to be admitted to the 2020 meetings of its shareholders. Again, more hypocrisy. But it is racist. It's racist. You can't cancel Coke, it's racist. You can't. I will tell you this, that this whole MLB thing, them moving it, and these companies bash in Georgia that make their money in Georgia. They got their start in Georgia. You know what? You're a racist. They need to be called racists. And until they don't politicize your business. There should be nothing political about baseball. Baseball is American. It's not political. Stop making it political. And Coke and Delta and all these, look, listen, when you do that, when you politicize, you waste half of your base. Stop it. Don't be dumb. ID to work for them, ID to go to the shareholders meeting. You got to provide ID. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. United Airlines became the latest major corporation to weigh in on voter rights policies on Monday, after a slew of companies issued statements concerning or condemning Georgia's recent election reform law. But Dan Crenshaw from Texas wasn't having it. He showed the airline its own ID policy before telling them to just shut up. United Airlines issued a statement on Monday that read, "Some have questioned the integrity of the nation's election systems and are using it to justify stricter voting procedures, even though numerous studies have found zero credible evidence of widespread voter fraud in U.S. elections." That's not true. That's a misstatement. Legislation that infringes on the right to vote of fellow Americans is wrong. We believe that leaders in both parties should work to protect the rights of eligible voters by making it easier and more convenient for them to cast a ballot and have it counted. I think we ought to make it more difficult. That's me. In reaction, Crenshaw replied on Twitter with a quote that read, "Travelers 18 years of age or older are required to have valid current U.S. federal or state-issued photo ID that contains name, date of birth, gender, expiration date, and tamper-resistant feature for travel." In reaction, Crenshaw replied on Twitter with a quote that read, "Travelers 18 years of age or older are required to have that. Just shut up. You have no credibility in this statement that you are condemning people, that you are condemning the state for passing a voter ID. We need to look. How many people don't have an ID? I'll wait. If you are 18 years of age or older, you got some kind of ID. You can get a non-driver's license where you're just it's just a state license, an ID, because you need ID. Go to the bank. We went to the bank yesterday, took my mother to the bank, had to handle some business. And she had to provide ID. You go to the doctor. I gotta make sure you have proper ID. You buy spray paint. You got to provide ID. You go get liquor. I gotta get ID. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. You have to have current genitalia status. You got to show or go. Yep. Make voter ID cards have a photo. There you go. Might be more expensive, but or require IDs. Just when you turn 18, You got to register for the draft. I don't think they still do that anymore. But hey, as part of your 18th birthday, you got to have an ID. And you're required to have it updated every 4 years. Driver's license costs, there's no cost to just getting a regular ID. As long as you can prove who you are, which means you have to have an ID. If I go in to the DMV, I got to prove who I am. I can't just get a driver's license. I got to prove who I am. And, you got to have, letters with your address on it. You got to have bills with your address on it, your name on it. You got to have your social security card. You got to prove who you are. They scanned my driver's license, proof I was able to vote. Yep. You have to prove who you are for everything. I know that saying that. Yeah, you're right, Donna. And Candace Owens the other night on Tucker said the same thing. She said, them saying that black people don't have ID is racist. That in itself is racist. You get a notice in the mail that said they've registered you for the draft. Oh, okay. Thanks. Took care of that for me. That was our big thing when I was growing up. We had to turn 18. You got to get down there and register for the draft. It's the word valid. That's an issue. Who says it's invalid? Remember the new ID rules at the DMV? Many could not get an ID without an exception. I don't understand that statement, Willie. The date says it's invalid. That's what says it's invalid. It's got to be a valid federal or state ID. And if it's invalid, if it's not a current date, or a valid, if it's within that date, if it's expired, it's not valid. That's what valid means. Fauci said that a mandate on coronavirus vaccine passports from the federal government is unlikely. Now, here's the thing, is they're talking about having a passport, a vaccine passport to go anywhere. Well, that's an ID. Added some local governments and businesses might choose to implement their own standards. Listen to this. Such a moron.
Doubt that the federal government will be the main mover of a vaccine passport concept. They may be involved in making sure things are done fairly and equitably, but I doubt if the federal government is going to be the leading element of that. I do believe that there will be individual entities that will do that. There may be theaters that say you don't get in unless you have proof of vaccination. There may be colleges or other educational institutions that do that. I'm not saying they should or that they would, but I'm saying you could foresee how an independent entity might say, well, we can't be dealing with you unless we know you're vaccinated, but it's not going to be mandated from the federal government.
But the federal government is going to be pushing for them to do that. The federal government is going to be pushing for people. So we don't want to make it a mandate from the federal government, but we want to push individual companies to do that. That's what they're saying. That's what he's pushed across. He's going to push vaccine passports. Now, I do want to say this, and Justin, the vaccine passports are racist, and I'm going to explain this. Because in the black community, they don't trust it. And a large portion of the black community does not have the vaccine or is going to get the vaccine. So what if they're not allowed to go to businesses or travel? I got stuck up. So if they're not allowed to travel, if they're not allowed to go to these places, is that racist? And the answer is yes. My mother told me she went to the renew her DL and they told her she had to provide her birth certificate, her last 3 marriage life. Yes. Yes. Now, my wife went to go get hers. Angie went to go get her driver's license when we moved from Texas to here. And she had to provide her marriage license that showed her maiden name. It's been 28 years, right? So, but she had to provide that. It's ridiculous. So I think the argument is bogus. The argument is bogus. Trump Secretary Janet Yellen will reportedly call for a global minimum corporate tax rate to prevent U.S. companies from relocating offshore in response to Biden administration's forthcoming tax hikes. The news outlet made clear that by trying to convince other countries to impose a global minimum tax, Yellen is acknowledging the risks of the American economy if it acts alone in raising corporate rates. We want to keep companies from moving out because we're raising their rates. So we're going to do a global corporate tax. Nice. You do, Justin. You do need an ID to get the vaccine, I think. The tax rates include raising the country's corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%. Now, that could be very devastating for the middle class. This is Jake Tapper. I'm getting rid of the dimwit here. This is Jake Tapper. Where did I do with Jake Tapper? Oh, here. And he is talking to, what's her name? The Energy Secretary about the citing concerns among Republicans about the economic impact of raising taxes on the corporate thing. Listen to this.
Are hearing concerns from Republicans, even Republicans who want and like roads and bridges, about the tax increases being proposed to pay for this package. The corporate tax rate, the proposal is to raise it from 21% to 28%. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce called that dangerously misguided. The Wall Street Journal editorial board wrote this week, quote, the great political fakery here is that corporate taxes merely fall on CEOs and rich shareholders. Mr. Biden's corporate tax increases will hit the middle class hard in the value of their 401ks, the size of their pay packets, and what they pay for goods and services. I should point out, it's not just conservatives like the Chamber and the Journal editorial page. There are more moderate congressional Democrats who are worried that raising these taxes will hinder economic growth and ultimately hurt middle-class Americans.
Okay, 2 points on this, Jake. You recall that just a few years ago, the tax rate for corporate taxes was 35%. And when Donald Trump passed his corporate and tax cuts for the wealthy package,
she didn't say anything about it being Obama. That's what she's meaning. But she didn't mention Obama, throw him under the bus.
To a point that nobody was even asking for, which was 21%. So what Joe Biden is saying is, let's put it to a reasonable middle. Let's put us in line with other industrial nations, which is of 28%. And secondly, if you don't like this, then come and tell us how you would pay for it. I'm of the polling that's been done out there on this, more people support paying for infrastructure rather than racking up deficits than not.
Then don't spend it, is what they're saying. But she didn't answer the question. She didn't argue the fact that it's going to hurt middle class Americans. She didn't argue that at all. And she didn't answer the question. She said, well, it's a middle ground. They say they want to pay for it. So we got to raise taxes. That's what she's saying. Interesting. They're not doing bueno. I got to get a couple polls here. They're going to push through. They're going to they got the parliamentarian to get online with them, making it a budget resolution, the infrastructure bill to be a budget resolution, and they're going to try to cram down your throat a $2.25 trillion thing without having to have the 60. They just have to have a simple majority. Joe Manchin said they don't have the votes. They may. A large majority of American adults say illegal immigration poses a direct threat to the United States. That's according to an NORC poll from AP on Monday. The poll shows that 72% of Americans are concerned about illegal immigration's direct threat to the U.S. 45% who say they are extremely concerned, and 27% who say they are moderately concerned. So they are, it's ridiculous. They are very concerned about Joe Biden's very incoherent immigration. 72%. President Biden's disapproval is on the rise. 51% on Monday, according to Rasmussen. Monday's numbers showed Biden's approval underwater, standing at 47% of those. 29% strongly approved. His disapproval, however, stood at 51%. Of those, 42% strongly disapproved. His 51% approval marks a 2-point rise since March 31st, although he hit 51% disapproval on March 25th and 26th as well. An exception means that WW2 veteran who joined us, I can't put the whole thing up, Willie, because it's too long, serve his or her country, could not use their military ID because they lied about their age to serve. Their IDs, date of birth, have been wrong for years, and many of them had forgotten that they did so. What are you talking about? Another instance, the birth certificate says Jones, but the birth has never gone by Jones. How does that happen? What kind of rare instance is that? How do they continue their business, bank account, or anything with their birth name on it? You bring a birth certificate. It doesn't make it. These are crazy. It happens so often in Florida that the state made the exception, but limited them to those of certain age. So invalid is more than a date. What if the person has kids? Is their birth certificates now fruit of a poison? What are you even talking about? How rare would that be? What is their legal name? There would be documentation of a legal name. If you served in the military, then you've got, but you still have a birth certificate. There's still proof of an age. These things, this is smoke and mirrors, Willie. Smoke and mirrors. Get your ID straightened out and get it done. Voting should not be super convenient, like ordering milk from the store to have it delivered to your home. It should not be. That keeps those uninformed people from voting. I don't think uninformed people should vote. I think you ought to be well-read. I think you ought to know what the facts are. Getting crazy Ed over here that's talking to a post, getting him down to vote just because he's eligible is not a good idea. I think those are ridiculous arguments. If you were born, you've got a birth certificate. You've got a legal name. There should be a trail. Get your ID and get it valid. Stop making excuses for laziness. That's it. That's it. All right. We got to get out of here. We are out on this Tuesday. God bless you. It's going to be a pretty day. Take advantage of it. And we will see you again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for more Sunrise Santa Rosa. Like it, share it, and we'll see you tomorrow. Stay strong. God bless.